have a seat. Governor will be here. Wow, room got really quiet. Thank you. My name is Dave Hardy, and of course I'm the Secretary of Revenue for Governor Justice. And my job is to speak until our guest of honor, who sits on this black stool, and it's not the governor, I might add, arrives. And then that's my cue to sit down. So let me tell you about the governor, okay? He and I started together on the same day, of course, when he asked me to be the Secretary of Revenue, January of 2017. And we were excited when we got there in the governor's office, and our state budget director starts handing us financial reports. The first one he hands us was for fiscal year 17. We were halfway through the fiscal year. And it had red ink, I knew that was bad, and brackets. And it said, we're halfway through the fiscal year and we're $217 million in the red. And I said, this is really bad news, Governor. Then they handed us the next report. The next report was the projection for fiscal year 18, which was going to start on July 1st, 5 months later. And it said that we were going to be $497 million in the red. So you add those two numbers up, you really quickly realize that when Governor Justice took office and I joined him as Secretary of Revenue, we were over $700 million projected underwater. Now, 5.5 years have gone by. And June 30th, 2022 is when we close our books. We close them every year at midnight on June 30th. This year, of course, we closed our books. And West Virginia, fiscal year of all time, ever. Long time, 1863. Fiscal year 22, budget surplus of $1,308 million. And the governor's not here yet, but I think he deserves a round of applause for that. The governor said this week of July, right around the 4th of July holiday, we need to start cutting taxes right now. And he asked Department of Revenue to do some research, and we talked about what our options were. And it was obvious that we looked around the country, and this trend is continuing, by the way, that there were states that didn't have state income tax. 41 had a state income tax. Those 9 states, and those are states that most of us have been to one time. I'm talking about Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Nevada. Those 9 states grew population-wise over the 10 years previous twice as fast as the other 48 states. Their population is much faster growing than the other 41. Those same 9 states grew their economies at a 56% faster rate than the remaining 41 states. Then we looked at research about the pandemic, and our research was very clear, and this was sort of common sense, but there is research that proves it. Telework is now, it's here. Teleworkers want to move to places that look like West Virginia. Places where there's not the low stress, low crime, lower cost of living. And they also want to go to places where taxes are low. So if you add up all this equation, and you get the latest data from the Tax Foundation, which came out this week, there are 21 states in the United States in the process of reducing or eliminating state income tax, including Ohio and Kentucky. So the government said, let's implement an immediate 10% state income tax cut for 2022. And that would put $271 million in our pockets instantly. We knew that West Virginians would get the tax cut, and they would probably spend the tax cut, which of course would also stimulate our state's economy. We called this special session in July. I know Delegate Gerhardt was there, of course. The delegates approved that plan in one day. But the state Senate would not even take up or vote on the plan. And the reason the state Senate wouldn't vote on the plan, and the reason we didn't cut taxes $271 million in July of this year, was because of Amendment 2. Now let me tell you about Amendment 2. This is West Virginia history moment. 90 years ago this month, November 1932, the people of West Virginia, in a landslide, because all amendments to the Constitution have to be voted on by the people, not the legislature, the people, voted in a landslide to make property tax revenue remain in the local government from which it came. In other words, when you pay your property tax here in Mercer County, real estate tax, personal property tax, it stays with the county, it stays with the cities, with their excess levies, and it stays with their school boards. That is guaranteed in West Virginia's Constitution. Guaranteed revenue stream. Not to be touched because it's constitutionally guaranteed to local government. Amendment, which is on the ballot, we've already started voting, be on the ballot, of course, next week on November 8th. Amendment 2 is a proposition and a vote asking the people of West Virginia to allow the legislature to take control of the property tax revenue. The legislature has said, if we pass Amendment 2, don't worry, cities, counties, school boards, we will give you your money back. We will give you the money back. Now, sounds real good, doesn't it? No problem. We give up money, they give the money back. Today, that might work. I want you to think about this. Is that going to work 10 years from now? 11 years from now? 50 years from now? Who knows what challenges our state government will have? Who knows who will be in the legislature? Who knows who the governor will be? Nobody. So, 2 is a huge gamble. Our guest of honor has arrived. It's a huge gamble. It's a huge gamble. You're giving up your guaranteed revenue source. I never get tired of watching that. You're giving up your guaranteed revenue source, and you're turning it over to the West Virginia legislature. Now, the man who has never always tells the truth and has taken us from $700 million down to $1.3 billion up, the 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
Well, every time I come in, she just beats me here, so thank y'all for coming. We got some really good stuff, and then I want to talk to you about Amendment 2 and answer your questions, but to the very best of my ability. If I can't, Secretary Hardy will be able to. But before we get into Amendment 2, let's get into this right here. You know, today is another good day in West Virginia. We're able to pass out more dollars, make more goodness happen. You know, if we're really fair, no, you can't do that. You can't run around worried. Come here. Come here, baby. Okay, I got to steal a chair. All right, Joey, you got to put her, bring a chair over. She's a whole lot easier to stay in her chair. Just, if you'd put her up in the chair, would be great. That way, not you, not Joey. Very good. You're over here. And now, you stay right there with me, okay? Okay. Now, I should have said this early on. When we're done, if any of you want to come up and say hi to Babydog, I know you don't really care about saying hi to me, but if you want to come up and say hi to Babydog, I'll stay right here with you. Got that out of the way. Okay. Now, is you may think, well, what in the world do I take Babydog around with me all these places? Yeah, boy, that's a great marketing campaign and all that kind of stuff. But it's not meant to be that at all. In fact, I just stumbled into that really, you know. But the real truth of the matter is, she does make you smile. And she does something, and I've said it a billion times. She loves everybody. And if all we could do is just focus on just that, we'd be so much better as a people, so the world, you know. So, and now listen to me just a second. Along the way, we have been able, and I don't say this egotistically at all, but I say this with all of you pulling the rope together. You know, when I walked in the door, I say a lot of stuff, but I am a pretty smart guy as far as business goes. And when I walked in the door, like it or not like it, this state was dead level bankrupt. Guaranteed. Anyway, you cut it. Bankrupt is bad. And we may think we had a bunch of great ideas. We had no ideas. The only idea that we could possibly come up with is government has more waste, let's cut. And that's it. That was it. Cut, cut, and cut, and cut, and cut. And every time we cut, more people left. And every time more people left, the revenue left. And all we did was drag the hole right with us. Now, being a business guy and running a lot of businesses and employing thousands and thousands of people, I know one thing for certain. In most situations, you can cut your way out of a mess. Now, you may think you can, but you're crazy to think you can. You most every time have to grow your way out of the mess. And so we had to do stuff. You know, I truly believe that God above made me Jim Justice for a reason. And He made every last one of you who you are for a reason. Now, with that being said, when it becomes real crunch time, if you're reached, you believe that not only Babydog's sitting right here, he's sitting right beside me. And he's telling me what to do. And then I go run the play. I don't take credit for the stuff. I run the plays. And literally, that's exactly how. Now, whether you believe that or not, I don't care. I know what my dad always said. My dad always said over and over, if you know the good Lord knows that's all it needs to know. That's it. And so, whether you buy it or not buy it, that's how I feel. I could not, before I took office, I was churning, trying to figure out what in the crap are we going to do? What are you going to do? You know, you got these ungodly deficits and everything else under the sun. What should the state going to say? What are you going to do? And it really just hit me in the shower. I said, well, where does this idea come from? You know, well, what if you took and divided them up amongst all the people? What would it cost us to let every road job we got in books, no matter how far out, or let them all tomorrow? And in itself would do the very thing that we have to do. And that's create an instant, not build a field and hope they'll come. Full feathers, we don't have any money to entice anybody. Build, create an instant job. What would you do if we said we're going to make education our centerpiece? What would you do if we said we're going to absolutely diversify our state and not be solely dependent but don't get our fossil fuels? And with all that, we're proud of ourselves being the pond that we're really proud of. And we're not going to be the frogs that aren't proud of their own pond. And we're going to drive all kinds of hope in regard to West Virginia as far as tourism. And forward. Here we are. Here we're sitting here. I'm about again to pass out great big check, all kinds of stuff that's happened right here. Right here in the town that should have died, the town that absolutely should be dead. That's all there is to it. More and more and more goodness all across our state. And we got it really going on. And I would tell you, and this is where I'll get to in Amendment 2, if we don't watch out, we're going to blow our own legs off. And at the end of the day, and I'll tell you this in just a minute too, that's just simply just this. Why would Jim Justice be here? Other than pass out this great money and do that kind of stuff, why would I be here? I mean, really and truly, at the end of the day, I could ride every parade, cut every ribbon, and if the truth were known, many of you would stand up along the path and even say, the greatest governor the state of West Virginia has ever had. Hands down. The pandemic, guys building the roads, God changed them, God changed this bankruptcy to deficit, to surplus beyond belief. That guy. But I'm here. And the reason I'm here is because I truly believe that you've been hoodwinked. You've been led to believe something that's nowhere close to the truth. Nowhere close. And you're too good. And if we don't watch out, I will promise you, and it may not happen before I leave, and I'm on a short fuse. A couple of years, I'm going to be gone. Now, think about it. It may not happen before I leave, but it will happen. We'll be upside down. And when we're upside down, at that point in time, and I'll tell you this again probably later, if you're not mad today on what's going on, you will be. You mark it down. And I want you to remember forevermore me sitting here on this stool. And I say it all the time, this stool is sturdy. It's got a load on it. It's right in the paper. But absolutely you remember this day. Because if you're not mad now, you will be. Because honest to goodness, do happen. And when it happens, you're going to be so upside down that you won't know which way to turn. And you know what will happen? People will really, really, really get hurt. Now let's do something that's really good. Let me do this. Today I am proud to present the Mercer County Commission Development Authority with a check for $1,959,000 to be used for a project in the National Nat Gas Pipeline along John Nash Boulevard. This extension will help to fuel additional economic development and growth at Exit 1 corridor. Now just think about it. There's no point in me going on and on and on. It's just more and more and more goodness. For crying out loud, do you realize when I walk the door, we can have $19. $19. Absolutely. Here's a check for $1.9 million. We just keep going and going and going and going and going like it's just absolutely like a Christmas tree. And it just boom, 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 boom. There's good stuff going on in West Virginia. Absolutely great stuff. Now, who do I give this check to? Who's going to come and get the check? Come on, guys. I'm not going to shy. How you doing? Yes, sir, Rick. Yes, sir. Okay, guys. All right. I'm going to put this here. And y'all come here and look real pretty. Okay? Oh, please. Please.
So we can all get in.
Frank, you can sit in the chair with her if you want. Or right here on the side of the stool with me.
Yeah, right.
Okay, now y'all take the check and get out of here.
John, you got the
Let's take this back.
You don't have to leave.
No. Just sit it right here.
It's good.
Okay. Let me tell you very quickly, as best as positive as I can. Let me just take you back just a little ways to July. You know, sunshine. David just closed out the year-end books, June 30th, year-end in West Virginia. We had $1,308,000,000 surplus. $1 billion, can you imagine? Can you just imagine? Honest and true, $1,308,000,000 surplus in West Virginia. And literally at the same time, and don't get me wrong now, I'm not, because I could give it a Republican or independent, and I'm not boxing anybody, but what's going on in the Biden administration is 80 degrees from where I am in the world. You know, but it is what it is. But we had $5 gasoline, and who knows where it was going, or who knew where it was going. And we have prices of where we were, where they are, or were, and people can really concern. And I said, sure, the good news we can do something, put some money back in people's hands. And so the only thing we could do within the ARPA requirements and everything were, first we could do 10% of the personal income tax and do income tax cut tomorrow. Okay? We had all this discussions and everything else. All of a sudden we said, well, sure, to goodness, we've got Republican supermajorities. You know, and Republicans are always for tax cuts. There's no way possibly to be anything but that. So we're going to call a special session and we're going to get this done. We'll get this money in the hands of the really, really super hurt. And on that, it's going to signal to the world we're going to pathway getting rid of our personal income tax. And anybody that has a brain in their blooming head knows that all the tax publications and everything say, literally, the states that are on the way to getting rid of their personal income, rid of their personal income tax, are the ones that are growing, and these other ones are in trouble. That's just it. Not what anybody says, that's it. Now, while I'm on that, you know, 2 days ago, our communications people, I was getting ready to do the thing, and they put a thing right in front of me and said, the tax foundation, is that what it is, George? Tax foundation, just come out, and that's light for everybody in the legislature. The tax foundation just came out with their publication for 2023. West Virginia is ranked 20th in the nation as having the best tax climate of anybody. Now, and I'm not here to cast stones, but the Senate President and the Finance Chair on the Senate side literally are ones all the time saying we want to be like Ohio and Pennsylvania. Well, Ohio's 33rd and Pennsylvania's 37th. We're 20th in the nation, best. The only state around us that's better than us is Kentucky, and they're 18th, so we're real close to them. Who's first? Wyoming. Who's second? South Dakota. Who's third? Alaska. Who's fourth? Florida. Who's seventh? Nevada. What do all those states have? They have no personal income tax. All of them. It's not rocket science. So, go back to July. I say, let's give that tax cut. That's a tax cut. It passes the House in a day. I mean, it was a lock. I wasn't really hardly even paying attention to it. And then it stopped. And I said, what in the world is going on? The Senate wouldn't even take it up for a minute. Well, what is going on? You know? And so, all of a sudden, I dig. Now, that's why I'm here. The deeper you dig, the worse it gets. So the House and the Senate passed a resolution to put on the ballot for you to vote for Amendment 2 or vote against Amendment 2. Then they walked around very proudly and boasted over the fact, I know how we can get them to vote for it. We'll put it on the amendment that we're getting rid of your car tax. And it tricked you. And to be perfectly honest, it lied to you. Then they traveled around in the hours of darkness all over the place to county commissions and everywhere else and promised the moon on funny numbers. Now they did. They just flat did for a year. And then when I did this, they hit the brakes. And the reason they hit the brakes because they wanted all the money. They had to have all the money. Now, you're about to go vote for something that is absolutely going to totally, I will promise you to God above, it will blow your legs off at some point in time. And it's the worst of the worst of the worst to me. You have been led to believe something about Amendment 2 by what they perpetuated that is nowhere close to the truth. And that is, do this and get rid of your car tax. I came up with a way with this gentleman right here to be able to get rid of your car tax for more. And that's through a rebate program that you won't have to do the Constitution. Amendment 2 has nothing to do with anything but changing the Constitution, period. That's all there is to it, period. I would ask you, passing Amendment 2, who wins? I'll guarantee you who wins is giant corporations. Walmart, Dow Chemical, those folks, they're the winners. And you know who else wins? Jim Justice. Jim Justice wins by the tune of millions of dollars. Millions. Millions are going to come to me. And God knows we need the money. Because I'm the only coal company just about that didn't take bankruptcy when things got really tough because I don't believe in it. And it's been really tough. Now, so at the end of the day, what we've done here is we've walked off from working families and we've put a stake in the heart on getting rid of personal income tax because you can't possibly do it all. I mean, it is insane to believe such a thing. And what we've done is we've rewarded these gigantians and left the folks that are absolutely hurting about inflation like crazy to the sideline. And worst of all, if we've taken all the control away from the county and we put it in Charleston. Operative says yes. That's all there's to it. I can't get away from that. He says, all of y'all give us all your money. We're the politicians. All of y'all give us your wallet and all your money. And we, as a bunch of Charleston politicians, are going to promise we'll give it back. Now, in my opinion, you can't be that money. You can't possibly be, fault that. The problem is you didn't know. Now, the guy, and I don't know where Joey is. Joey's in the back. He's the guy on my detail. He's a state policeman. On Saturday evening, about 5:30, I went bow hunting. Joey was there, standing there beside me, and I was putting my camouflage on. It was getting dark fast, wasn't it, Joey? And I had to go. And Joey said to me, my buddy just went and voted early. And I said to him, well, surely to goodness you didn't vote for those amendments, did you? He said, oh, no. I wouldn't vote for those amendments, no way on earth was I going to do that. And then he turned around and he said, well, except that one that got rid of my car tax, and I voted for that one. That's the only way they can win this. Because every single solitary other reason is bad. So that's why I'm here. I'd love to be bow hunting right now. Absolutely, I'd love to be out there trying to find the next Omnis or the next Berkshire Hathaway or whatever it may be. But I'm telling you, this is probably, of everything, the most important thing of my governorship that's ever been. Now, let me tell you, the other thing is if you sign up for this, something that's been in the Constitution that's guaranteed your health It's like saying, well, we're gonna have term limits, you know, to House and the Senate. Do you honestly think the House and the Senate are gonna vote against term limits? Or for term limits, rather? Do you think they're gonna do that? If you passed it to where they had the right to determine all the time, do you think they're going to just vote? Do they have term limits or give you the chance to vote again? You missed it the first time, try again? They're not going to do that. You see, they love and they think they are so smart and they can control the whole world. Well, I'd say this, well, if they could control and do all this great stuff and everything, what in the world was happening before I walked in there? I had it all figured out. Well, why in the world were we in the upside down mess that we were in? Now, do I not think that there's lots and lots of folks who do my job as well or better? Sure, I'll give you that. But I'm going to tell you the very best virtue that I have myself is the ability to doubt myself. You don't see that much in Charleston. They've got it all figured out all the time. Well, they don't have this figured out. This is bad stuff. That's all there is to it. Now, if that isn't bad enough, what I just told you, you're going to get rid of your personal income tax, you'll give up all your control. I mean, you absolutely, you're not thinking about the working family. You're going to reward big corporations, all these ungodly tax breaks. If that isn't bad enough, mark it down. Here's what's fixing to happen. At some point in time, we're upside down. Every single year, you're going to line up as a county, and you're going to go down to Charleston and beg for money. Anywhere, you're going to do it every year, no matter what. And literally, your voice is very, very, very small. And there are certain counties that their voices are very, very, very big. And first of all, they're not going to listen hardly at all. They'll probably throw you enough bones to keep you alive. And as long as these ungodly surpluses are here, they'll be able to fund you and all well. But now just stay with me, because this is just fact. If you take the machinery and inventory and the car tax, I tell you hands down, I think the car tax ought to go, and I've got the perfect methodology for it to go without having to touch the Constitution. Just do it in the reading. Just take the dollars out of the general fund. Let the taxes on your cars go to the county, and us give you the money back. And do it in 5 seconds. Just give it back to you. You know, we could do that tomorrow. Well, why don't we do that? Why in the world don't we do that? First thing. And the second thing, why don't we get on a pathway of cutting our personal tax? And then why don't we just breathe just a little bit and see where we are and where we stand? And then, if there's a way to go then and take on the machine inventory or a piece of it, and then take another piece and then breathe and then get it done, yay, yay. In the end, you got to know this. I love you with all my soul, but the worst of this whole thing is yet to come. And here's what the worst of the whole thing is if and when you go upside down, there's no if to it. You're going to go upside down. It happens. Today, the cost of car tax, which I am 100% saying that it's gone. It's not even out now. It's gone no matter what. Because they aren't suicidal. When Amendment 2 fails and my bill goes up to get rid of your car tax, there's no way that you're going to have one vote against it. They're not suicidal. Because if they then vote down your car tax situation, well, you'll run them out of town. So they're not going to do that. The car tax thing is gone. Period. But when you add tax, machinery, and inventory, then you put in the utilities. That right now is so ambiguous that the utilities can probably get in on the inventory thing too, then you're gonna be above $700 million. Well, when you pull $700 million out of revenue, if you think you can put personal income tax on top of it, easy, that ain't gonna happen. So really and truly, as far as dollars coming to you personally, the people that are really hurting, and not only that, the people that would send a signal to the whole world and drive growth here, you're putting a stake in that forever. That's all there is to it. If you kill the possibility of the personal income tax forever, you tell me how growth is going to come to Virginia. Every tax public in the land says, my God, just wake up. Wake up. That's the pathway. And if we say, no, we can't do it, there's no way you can do that. If you've got $700 million just going out the door, you've got to have $700 million worth of surpluses to break it even. Now, today, surpluses look unbelievable, don't they? But you did. You've lived coal prices up and coal prices down. My goodness gracious, gas prices are 6 times what they were a few years back. Absolutely with all in you, you've lived it. Why do you think that something's not going to happen? And the only way that they can do this is maintain a flat budget forever. Who here is doing that? Who is really being able to do that throughout your life, in your house, or wherever it may be? So, what happens when we have PEI upside down? What happens when we want to do pay raises to our employees? What happens if we have the federal government match that says, if you'll match, if you'll put up X dollars, the federal government will give you 6 times that money for highways or whatever it may be? What happens when due happens? What happens? And you don't have the money. Then the only thing you can possibly do is say to the counties, well, counties, can you get by with 80% of what you were getting? Can you get by with 80% of the police force or 80% of the firemen? 80% of the money's going to your schools. Can you get by? And then all of a sudden Bluefield becomes a ghost town again. And when Bluefield starts on its way to becoming a ghost town again, who do you think wants to put a business here? I mean, it is just as simple as all that. And then, here's the punch of the whole deal. Then what are your counties going to do? The only thing the county can do to generate more money, the only thing, is your assessment, and now they're collecting taxes on 60% of your assessed value. They will have to raise that. And if they raise your assessed value instead of 60% to 100%, every last one of you will have your taxes going up like crazy. And ask yourself why. Why are we doing this? And I can guarantee you it's one thing, and they don't like me saying this, but it's just nothing else. You got lobbyists that got all the money, and literally, they're being backed by some special interest group, big business, you know, manufacturers, Sierra Club, whatever it may be. And the lobbyists come, and they go to the legislatures and say, listen, if you'll support our cause of what we want to do, getting rid of the machinery and inventory tax here, what we'll do, we'll support you running for governor, or we'll support your campaign funds, or whatever it may be. That's the swamp. That's exactly what's going on today in D.C. And believe it or not, that's exactly what's going on in Charleston. There is nothing but that. And then what they do is they get your membership to line up like a bunch of sheep. And then they threaten their membership. Think about Robert Carnes right now, one of the senators. Robert said, I voted for this, but I don't really believe it's the way to go. And I think Justice's thing is the best way to go. They put him in a closet. You know, they take his office, they put him in a closet, they take him off the police, and everybody else scared. Scared. That's what they do. Well, let me tell you. go vote for Amendment 2 because of the tax, because he says, I want to get rid of my car tax. And you don't think beyond the end of your nose about really and truly what this is all about. I'm telling you, your car tax is on. It absolutely, you will not have to pay that ever again. And in my opinion, you'll be rebated back to January 2022. It's gone. But we, as good people, you know, imagine this just for a second. One of the coal companies took bankruptcy, wrote off $1.3 billion, stiffed a lot of folks along the way, vendors, banks, and everything else. And that's all there is to it. And now they're making almost $100 million a month. A month. And you're about to give them more. You're putting your schools in jeopardy, the police in jeopardy. You're turning your back on work family right out there. Why do they need more? Why really do they need more? It's just not right. It's just plain not right. Now ask me anything you want to ask, please, and I'll answer as I possibly can. Gotta ask something. Or Babydog and I are going to leave you. Well, let me add just this, and we'll be done. And it's just as simple as this. If you agree with what I'm telling you, you know, I'm going to tell you this. There was a time when we blamed the party all the time, and I'm very, very proud of my conservative values. I'm a Republican. You know, there was times when we blamed others and all that kind of stuff. If we don't watch out, we'll blow our own legs off there too. Without any question in my mind, there's at some point in time, there's doing the right thing. You know, this idea of saying, well, we do this, by God, more business will come. Well, what in the world? I mean, do you not believe that Jim Justice is not going to do anything but tell you the truth? He'll make a mistake, but he's just going to tell you the truth. For crying out loud, they're calling like crazy. What about Berkshire Hathaway or Omnis or whatever? What about Green Power or Pure Watercraft or Nucor? What about all this stuff? Isn't it unbelievable that I could say, if God is standing right here and he says to me, if you're not telling the truth right now, I'm sending you to hell right now. Nobody asked Jim Justice, said to Jim Justice, will only come if you get rid of the machinery and inventory tax. So why on the planet are we doing this? Are we putting ourselves at this level of risk? Why are we doing this? It's wrong. I'm telling you. And with all that being said, all that in every way, when's enough? All these countries are doing really good because of the things that we've done, you've done. Literally. You, the engine, you're the one I identify with. Now I'm telling you, if you think that I'm right in this, then you've got to become the disciples. You've got to tell everybody all over the place. You got to, but if this thing goes up in flames, I will promise you, I've done my job. I've sat on this stool, my God living. I was over at the radio station, I'm in a TV station in Oak Hill, and I'm careful about falling and everything, because I've fallen all the time on grouse hunting all over the place. But literally, I'm over at the station over at Oak Hill just a few minutes ago, and the chairs are on little wheels and stuff, and I'm at the news desk, and there's some loose carpet there, and some way the chair gets loose, and I go backwards, and wham, I hit right on the back of my neck, and everything. I said, oh my God, I'll kill myself, you know. But now, if I'm here and I've done all, I've gone everywhere under the sun, I've answered every question, I've told you everything I know that I could possibly tell you, and you ask this, you know what I'll do? First of all, I'll dance all the way to the bank, because you literally give me millions of dollars that I'm telling you don't do. Then, here's what I do, in quick 2 years, I'll be done. And I'll ride the wave until, and literally we'll go out, and hopefully we'll go out on top, and I'll work as hard as I can to get the next business here, and I will be totally respectful of that, no matter what. Then you'll run into me, and I'll be or something like that, and I'll look right at it and I'll say, I told you so. Because if you're not mad now, you will be. Now, I can't do any more than I'm doing. There's no way. So, if you don't have any questions, just know just this. I'm really, really proud of what you've done here. You should have died. Bluefield, of all places, should have died. The whole business went kaplunk and the railroad left and everything else under the sun. You should have died. You didn't. Because you kept digging and digging and digging and digging and doing the good stuff. And lo and behold, it's like Tom Hanks said, just keep breathing, something will wash up in the tide. And it did. And so lo and behold, we are where we are. But don't think for a second that at some point in time, Duke's not going to happen again. And I can't, I mean, you tell me, how can Republicans turn down tax breaks to people? How can Republicans think that local controls, I mean state control is not better than local control? Where in the world have we gotten? I mean, do you not think you know best what to do here versus Charleston? I mean, really? How in the world could Charleston know best what to do here for you? How could they possibly know? It's like our federal government saying, we know better than the states know. We'll just do whatever we want to do. Now, I always do this, and I almost forgot. Be really proud of yourselves. Be really proud of what you've done. Be really proud of the fact that you're great West Virginians. I mean, when it really boils down right down to it, what are you really, the fabric of you? Faith-based. And your low crime. And your craftsmen. And your really, really good neighbors. You know the difference between right and wrong. It's not a matter of, it doesn't matter what's right and wrong, it's a matter of what you can get by with. That's not us. That's why we are what we are. And literally, what you have done is, I mean, is unbelievable. Who would have thunk it that we could be where we are today? I mean, who would have thunk it that worldwide travel publications would say, West Virginia is the place to go? Are you kidding me? Be really proud. You are the best. And through all this, whether it be the pandemic or the roads or the tourism or anything, I'm really, really honored to have been able to fly with you. Because it's been good. It's been hard, but you are really good. So be really proud. And I'll end with that, because I love you. I really do. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.